Hello, welcome to this video. I'm doing a part 3 series of the Wim Hof Method. There's a couple more things I wanted to discuss, and specifically in terms of its relation to performance. And so, this technique actually produces energy by releasing or producing a molecule that's called ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy currency of the cell. So, essentially, what this method does, and it's quite remarkable, is it increases the amount of ATP through a process called aerobic dissimilation. Aerobic dissimilation is essentially occurs in the mitochondria and produces ATP. And so when you breathe in, um, when you do the mindset and the breathing method, you're actually producing ATP by delivering oxygen, and you're removing lactic acid, which is the waste product from your cells, and giving you that energy. So that comes from from the basic Wim Hof breathing method, and of course having the right mindset. And so, what happens when you breathe? You're changing the biochemistry. So you're making your body more alkaline, and that further promotes aerobic dissimilation and ATP production. So that's where the energy comes from, and thus enhances performance. So that's why it's good to do a workout after doing the breathing and the mindset. Now, another thing it does, it also allows you to give, it also produces more energy for repair, rehabilitation, and plasticity. So, a lot of people with chronic disease, to attack the disease, your body produces enough ATP to merely survive. By doing the breathing, you generate that extra ATP that your body needs to repair and fully heal from the chronic disease. So it gives you that energy that's necessary, not only for workouts, as I mentioned, that's of course great, but also if you're suffering from some kind of condition, the energy that the body requires to really repair. So he gives that example too, or he mentions that as well in the book. Now, I mentioned the basic breathing already, the mindset, and the cold showers, which is all in my previous two videos. Please check those out if you haven't done so. I'm going to mention an extra technique in this video, and it's called the Wim Hof protocol power breathing for endurance athletes. So if you're doing, or for endurance training, so if you're doing like long distance running or long cardio, this is a good type of breathing. It's called power breathing. And what it does, it delays the deprivation of oxygen in the muscle tissue, so you can postpone the point of acidic or lactic acid acidification. So you can run for longer. You can last a longer time in your marathon runs or long distance running, or your in your stamina walks, stuff like that. The way it works is you breathe in deeply and relax 60 times. So same thing as we did in the basic breathing method. Be sure to check that out. I think that was in part 2 or part 1 of the Wim Hof series that I'm creating. And so be sure to watch that if you haven't done so. But you're doing 60 of the Wim Hof breaths, where you take fully in and not forcing it on the exhale 60 times. Remember, you want to breathe deeply from the diaphragm. And what happens is, on the last breath, you want to fully inhale and hold your breath for at least 15 seconds or as comfortable. And then squeeze the entire body towards the head by tensing your pelvic floor and allowing the pressured feeling to move up the spine to the top of your head. So on the last breath, you want to fully inhale, kind of like the recovery breath, and wait for 15 seconds. So same as the recovery breath, and then squeeze your entire body from the pelvic floor all the way to your spine, and fully exhale that breath. So again, it's pretty much the same. Instead of it's 60, instead of being 30 or 40, and also there's no retention period. So just breathing 60 times, and then you do the recovery breath for 15 seconds, and squeeze from the pelvic floor up the spine, up to the head, right, until you feel pressure on top of the head, and let go, relax, not forcing it. Okay. And then you can start a new round. So same, you do 3 to 4 rounds, same as the basic Wim Hof method of this. So 60 of those deep breaths, again through the diaphragm, same as in the breathing, and then do the recovery breath for 15 seconds, and then using the squeezing approach, as I mentioned, to fully let go. And 3 to 4 rounds of that. Again, you want to bring yourself into the right mindset before doing this breathing. And then after you're done, you can go out for the long run or for whatever, for a long cardio session. The goal here is to breathe more than necessary to give you all that energy for the endurance, for the long endurance session. Now, I want to mention that it's also, because it's called power breathing, you want to gradually increase the pace as you go. So round 1, you may go at the pace of the basic breathing, but then at the rounds 2, 3, and maybe 4, you want to actually go even faster. It's called power breaths. They're quick breaths to really give you that oxygen. And so that's before you go for like a long distance, like stamina hike, for example. Before you go for a stamina hike, you can do this power breathing technique. And as I mentioned, it works by producing ATP, by essentially changing the mitochondria through a process called aerobic dissimilation, and producing a lot of energy that way. So through a process called the citric acid cycle. So that's how you get all the energy. Another thing it does, by giving the mitochondria of the lymphatic system more energy, you're better able to cleanse all the toxins. So it's really, really good, this technique. And not just the endurance one. I'm talking about the basic breathing for this part specifically. As I mentioned in the last video, it's good to do the breathing, the basic Wim Hof breathing, because it allows you to cleanse the body. So it's great for repair, and it's actually good for your sleep as well. So you can actually do it post-workout if you wanted to as well, for repair if you want. But I recommend to do it before the workout. And it's also good for, like, just know it's also good for repair and sleep. So if you, for example, did a workout the previous day, the breathing can help you in that sense as well. Okay. Another thing I'd like to mention is, again, I mentioned about performance, and so let's talk about push-ups. You can actually do this technique to greatly enhance the amount of push-ups. So how does this work? So let's say before you can only do like 10 push-ups. Before you really, really fatigue yourself and get really tired, okay? Let's be fair. That's what I mean. All right, before you get so tired that you can't do anymore. And so here, using a single round of basic breathing, you can do so much push-ups. So all it works is it takes 4 minutes, and you just do the 30 or 40 deep breaths. And on the last breath, you fully exhale, right? And then on your retention period, you do the push-ups. So you do the push-ups when you're essentially holding your breath. And then when you're done, you can then breathe in for your recovery breath. You can also do the push-ups after the recovery breath. There's 2 ways of doing it. And so, you'll be surprised. You may be able to do 2 or 3 or even 4 times more push-ups than you were able to do before. So that's what I'll be doing in this kind of next short bit. Stay tuned.